So, welcome everybody to today's CSL in session north of 50. I am showing that it is noon Colorado time, so we'll go ahead and get started. We may have some more people joining us as they change desks and finish lunch, etc. My name is Christine Krieger, and I'm the Professional Development Consultant for the Colorado State Library. And before we get started with the main session today, I just wanted to briefly introduce CSL in Session to you if you have not had a chance to attend before. So many of you may be used to webinars where it's sort of one-way communication and we just talk at you for an hour, but that's not how we do things here. We like to shake it up a little bit and have you guys share your ideas so we can actually have a discussion, and then we can all benefit from each other's expertise and practice. So we hope that you ask questions throughout, share ideas, and everything as we go through. The primary way that you will share information today is through the chat area, and a couple of you have used the chat area in the bottom left-hand corner to introduce yourself. So once again, at any time, feel free to type in comments or questions, and I'll help keep an eye on that to make sure that we get your questions answered. If by chance you experience any tech issues today, you can get a hold of me up in the upper left-hand corner under the attendee area where it says Colorado State Library. If you hover over that, you can send me a private message and I can share with you a couple things that you can do maybe to help with the audio quality. And we are recording today's session and the archive will be available on the CSL in Session website probably within an hour of us being done. Oops, and see I'm behind in my slides. There we are. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Tara, Amy, and Stephanie from the Denver Public Library, who are going to talk about some of the services that they provide for seniors at their library. So they can go ahead and take it away.
Hello, thanks. We're looking forward to today's presentation.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for attending. This is Amy.
And this is Stephanie.
We're going to start off by introducing ourselves with a little bit more detail. And who we're inspired by. What made this programming so important to us.
This is Stephanie, and I'm inspired by my mother, Mary, drama queen. In this photo from 1943, she's 18 years old and she's playing a Greek princess in a pageant at church. She was the daughter of Greek immigrants. My mother was dyslexic, and she was our school librarian. She loved poetry, and she introduced hundreds of people, even standing in line at the grocery store. She would introduce people to poetry. She was especially proud of the fact that she served on the founding committee of Reading is Fundamental in 1966, chaired by Margaret McNamara, Mrs. Robert McNamara. Because I know my mom would want me to share this with you, to date, this organization has given away 412 million books to more than 40 million children. My mother passed away almost 2 years ago at 90. She was independent and sharp to the end. As a matter of fact, a couple of months before she died, she took part in a poetry workshop at her local library in Prince William County, Virginia. One of the instructors was a rap artist, and boy, was she charged up after that. My mom was always enthusiastic and always ready for the next adventure.
Hi, this is Amy, and I'm inspired by my mother, Eleanor, specifically for this kind of programming in libraries. My mom, she was a whip-smart, brilliant woman, very willful and passionate her whole life. She was a professor of psychiatric nursing. And when she first started getting older, she attacked it like she attacked everything else and tried to learn and engage with the world and made it an incredibly vibrant part of her life. But then when she was 75, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and that had a profound impact on how she aged for the rest of her life. She died almost a year ago. And so when I started looking at this kind of programming at Denver Public Library, I had her in my mind, and I still do when I think about what I think will work for seniors in our population.
This is Tara. I'm inspired by my grandmother, Willa. She's there on the left. My grandma did not use the library very much. She worked in a university library, but a lot of her social interaction came from card games or church events, and that social aspect and working in the community and being a part of something definitely is what kept her inspired and moving forward. And I was really touched by how many people were helpful to her in her life. Um, so I know that she would want me to help others and help be a connection as others were a connection for her. And I believe what we're doing would make her proud. Also, very strongly motivated, all of us, by statistics. In March 2016, the Bell Policy Center did a presentation here. And over the next 25 years, Coloradans 65 and up will double. It's currently about 500,000, and it will soon be 1 million. Coloradans 80 and over will triple to 500,000. We also had a presentation from the State Demographer's Office, and that will be applied to all of Colorado. In the chat, I'm going to post a link, and if you scroll down, you'll see Aging in Colorado, the 2017 report, and you'll be able to see all kinds of information. So we're here for specific people and specific reasons, but also because for all of Colorado, this is something that we're going to be all seeing in libraries.
Thank you, Tara. The demographers call this the silver tsunami, the growing of the growth in the population of older people. And so they're not just an important, but a large part of our customer service area. So we should really start thinking about them more. So I'm glad you all are here for this session today.
So in the chat, let us know who inspires you. It doesn't have to be a family member. It could be a customer or a neighbor, a friend.
Grandparents, Carrie May says. Layla, I like your answer. I think many older people are without family members, at least nearby. And that is a place where libraries can have a profound impact.
Another customer that we have here at the library, her name is Sally. We've helped her find a heart surgeon. We've helped her find a new car. We've helped her use her iPhone so she can FaceTime with her granddaughter far away and read her stories. She was a school teacher, so back when she was working, we helped her with that. Now she's a nanny, so we definitely provide a place for her and whoever she's nannying to come and have fun with us to help pick out books. We've done lots of reader's advisory with her, both with fun paperbacks to read as well as British crime dramas that aren't too violent. So Sally is another person that inspires us on a daily basis, and it sounds like you all have Sallys in your life. So we think this inspiration is important to put a human face on the statistics, um, and I think it keeps you authentic and it keeps you connected to the community. And when times get tough, it helps you stay on the path. Okay, so we're gonna start off with what's worked for us. You're probably here to find out more about things that you can do hands-on every day with this population, and we're here to meet that need.
So this is Amy again. The first program we wanted to talk about is Memory Cafe, which is one of the first programs we did at Denver Public Library, geared specifically for people 50 and older. The Memory Cafe meets twice a month. It's a social, fun group for people experiencing memory loss, along with their friends, family members, and caregivers. The inspiration for this came to me because of watching my mother experience Alzheimer's. Even though she was a very outgoing, social, fun person for her whole life, fearless. She was a fearless person. When she developed Alzheimer's, even in the early stages when she was still quite capable of participating in life, she became very withdrawn. She became embarrassed. She became bored. And that is something that not many people talk about with dementia and Alzheimer's, but it's really boring to have memory loss. You can't engage in life in the way you used to. So I looked around and I wanted to find something that she could do with my father that was fun. They went to medical appointments all the time. They had therapy appointments, but there was nothing that just spoke to their spirits. So I started doing research, and in England, there's this memory cafe phenomenon. And I decided to try it here at Denver Public Library, and it has been an incredible success. We get probably 20 to 30 people at every cafe. People really, really enjoy it. It's not medical, it's not therapeutic, it's fun. So what I do when planning the cafes, the beginning of the cafe is about a half an hour program, and I focus on something that I would like to do or I would like to learn. And it's one thing that I've learned in working with this population is even if people have memory loss and even if they are cognitively impaired, they still want to learn and they're still curious and they still want to be treated like intelligent, fully capable people. So that's what we do. I try to come up with programs that any adult would enjoy. And these are some of the programs that we've done. The singing and dancing is very popular. The Botanic Gardens came and taught us all about different plants and how to plant them. We do the ukulele, and we learn how to play the ukulele. And yes, I see Layla says she would like to do all three. I enjoy these programs a lot. I had done some research about the value of improv with people with memory loss because improv is very much an in the moment thing that happens, and it's a yes and thing. It's just going with what's happening, and that ended up being a really we've done that program a few times. It's a lot of fun. Croquet, we bring fake grass into the library and have a croquet game. And art is very, very popular. Both art creation and art appreciation. In this slide, all the way on the right, that was this fascinating one we did where we had 3 musicians play, and we created a piece of art based on the music of each musician, what inspired us. And then all 3 musicians played together, and we created a 4th piece of art that was all 3. And it was just, when people came in, their heads were down, they were a little depressed, they were very quiet. And when they left, they were standing up straight and laughing, and their entire demeanors changed. And that's what I find at every single cafe is that people they open up like flowers. It's just an amazing experience.
Christine, shall we do the poll now? So if everyone would like to participate, we'd love to see um, your experience with people experiencing dementia and memory loss in your lives.
So it's interesting that almost everybody knows someone with Alzheimer's or another form of memory loss. It is a disease that paints a very broad brush across our culture. I don't know anyone who doesn't have someone in their life experiencing memory loss. And one of the most important aspects of the Memory Cafe is it's really not just for the person with memory loss, it's also for their friends and their family members and caregivers. We have many people come with their loved one and say, oh, it's like a date. It's so much fun. It feels normal again. Or this feels like a normal thing to do for us. And that's really a beautiful thing. One of the things about this program is of all the programs I do at the library, I can see an immediate impact on someone's quality of life. And that's very gratifying to me. So let's go back to the slides. Thanks, Christine.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about the North of 50 programs. We'd like to hear from you. What kind of programs are you doing for the active seniors in your community? And what do you call those programs? Do you have an overarching title or series name?
And you guys can either type in the little chat window on the left-hand side of the screen, or I've created kind of a larger window, and you can share your thoughts and ideas there as well. Looks like we've got several people typing furiously away here.
Book club, that's a good one for this group.
I also like the fact that it's also kind of like a hot topics, current affairs kind of thing. And Chris was talking about a book and a librarian, which allows one-on-one with the senior patron. So Chris, are you saying that the senior patrons can book a librarian, or can somebody book a senior patron? You go either way. They know a lot of things.
So I love the idea of preschool story times with seniors. I've been trying to figure out a way to do that in my own branch. I think that's just a wonderful matching of populations.
A few more people typing. So Carrie is doing a senior lunch and learn featuring local history or other community topics. That sounds great too.
Afternoons.
Yeah, homebound outreach is vitally important. So I think I'll go back to our slides, but if other people have any other ideas, just pop them in the chat in the lower left-hand corner. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
So Kathy, I just wanted to respond to your question. We actually did cooking classes at the Memory Cafe, and that was extremely popular and a lot of fun. So I think that can be a great thing to do with this group.
So here in this slide, we have Sally, a different Sally than I was talking about before, and Charles. What you can't tell from this photo was that this is a Downton Abbey tea party. I didn't ask anyone to dress up. They came dressed up on their own. And while dancing, Charles is also reciting Lewis Carroll's The Jabberwocky poem. So just to kind of prove that it's a very, like creative, and they'll surprise you all the time group. Like definitely don't put them in a box because you won't be doing anyone a favor.
These next few slides are the programming that we've done. We started North of 50. We kicked it off in January of 2016. We started No Strings Attached Book Chat in 2015, which is primarily those of us with gray hair. But we have some young attendees. We have a woman that comes from the next town over who's 37, and she brings some interesting things to the group. It's called No Strings Attached because we have no required reading. We talk about books, movies, music, articles, whatever we want to talk about. We go around the group. Everybody talks about one thing. It sparks discussions. Sometimes we find themes that we discuss. It's been a real good group. Several of them have become friends outside of the group, and it's grown from when we started it, it was 6 to 9 people. At this point, it's more like a dozen people come every month. We do that once a month. The whole idea of working with older people really began with Amy, and she and I started sharing experiences of dealing with aging parents, and her compassion was clear. Her passion to serve this population was clear. About that time, my mom took the poetry workshop at her local library across the country, and I looked into it. They offered monthly programming, Prince William County, Virginia, and their program was called North of 50. At the same time we were hearing on the radio, we were hearing about the numbers in Colorado. This was a couple years ago. Some of those statistics that Tara mentioned previously, it was kind of scary. And we knew that even though Denver Public Library didn't single out seniors for programming, when we looked at the demographics in our neighborhood, it made all the sense in the world. And looking at some of your comments, clearly you are dealing with this demographic as well. If it wasn't for Tara's passion and action, this wouldn't have happened as quickly as it did. We put it together in a couple of months. We had 6 months of programming in no time. And what I'm getting at is that passion to serve older people is really crucial. The best intentions will not make it happen or keep it going if you don't have somebody there who really wants to give this population, give our elders some attention and some focus. One of the things Tara mentioned that stayed with her was an offhand comment she heard that it's kind of interesting to notice as you get older, you kind of disappear. There's a kind of freedom in that, but it can be a little disconcerting as well. You do slow down physically and you do slow down mentally, and you're regarded quite differently as you age. Sometimes you're not taken seriously or you're not even seen. Sometimes you feel you're not even seen at all. And in this culture we have of youth and beauty that we're all too familiar with, we made a very conscious decision that we wanted to recognize and serve our seniors. Tara's thinking on this was, we'll just do it and see if it catches on. So we started officially programming in January of 2016 with monthly events that first year, once a month. It fell into place really quickly. one contact led to another, and presenters were really excited to get on board. How do we come up with ideas? How do we keep it going? We found that that contacts and topics lead to more programming ideas and potential presenters. It just kind of grows on itself. We solicit suggestions from our customers, and they give us a lot of input. As a matter of fact, one of our customers, who was a physical therapist and nurse, presented one of our programs. And then we get other ideas from radio stories, podcasts, newspaper and magazine articles. We get a lot. We do this year we did choir for the tone deaf. And that came directly out of an article in the New York Times about an opera singer in Milan in Italy who set up a community choir for people who thought they couldn't sing. That was very popular. We did 2 sessions in July. We're doing 2 more this month and 2 more in December. For each program, what we do is set out tea and lemon water and cookies, and we use doilies that my grandmother crocheted. We just want people to feel welcome and comfortable with each other. We never know how many people are going to show up. We've had everything from 6 to nearly 40. The program that attracted the most people, oddly enough, was the Bell Policy Center talking about statistics of the aging baby boomers in Colorado. That kind of surprised us. And then another thing we want to talk about is the name that you decide to call it. Do any of you have a name for it already that you use? That was a big one for us. You want to keep in mind that what you call your series will probably be controversial. There were those within Denver Public Library that really had a negative reaction to calling out, targeting older people. They were few, but they were vocal. And then you get into all kinds of conversations about the words you use. Seniors, elders, older people. I've used all those terms today as I've been talking. Did any of those really bother you when I said it? You have to think about that. We could never come up with anything we thought that was as good as North of 50. And we asked a lot of people too for ideas. So I asked my mom's library if we could use the name, and they were very generous. So passion and sharing are a big part of what has made this work. Be sensitive about the name you pick, but don't be too sensitive, because someone may not like it. I should add that not one customer has complained about the name or said anything negative about it, and usually people think it's pretty cute. But we'd like to hear, too, more ideas on what you've been doing.
And Tara, do you want me to try and share the video of Shelvis? Shelvis is in the picture.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of a preamble to the video. Shelvis is here pictured with one of our pretty much everyday customers, Jimmy. What I like about Shelvis is that she's a woman who does Elvis impersonations. She recently started, she got on like an all-male Shelvis impersonator competition, and she won. She was the only female, and she beat all of the men, and she herself is a grandma. So I do feel like anytime I can book a presenter who is in the same demographic as my my audience, I feel like that often really resonates with them. And I believe this video will show that exactly. So a moment of suspense while the video loads.
So I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to start it and stop it so it can buffer for just a second, and we'll see if this works. Bear with me during the black screen for just a moment.
I just ran into Mary, that's the woman in pink, at the local coffee shop the other day and let her know that the next Shelvis performance was coming up, and she stopped by to pick up about 10 flyers to bring the rest of her friends.
And I think you guys get the idea. For whatever reason, it's not buffering the way that it did earlier. So I will move on, but I will, Terry, do you guys have a copy of the video online anywhere that we can link to?
Yeah, I'll put the YouTube link in the chat.
Perfect.
And there you can find more videos of other programs. And it'll be the full video, but it's so cute because she ends up pinching Elvis's cheeks and just about fainting in excitement, as Shelvis was doing her thing. You'll see 2 stars at the end of the programs there. Those are ones that are still coming up this year that we have not yet done, but we're looking forward to. Of course, we're already starting to look at 2018 programming. I do want to give a shout out to the Talking Book Library. I see that Debbie's here. Hey, Debbie. We loved partnering with other organizations, and I'm going to talk about that more in a minute, but definitely having the Colorado Talking Book Library out was absolutely wonderful. We had other library staff attend that as well. So being able to connect seniors with resources available is great. So I recommend working with Debbie anytime. So some other really good partnerships that we've had has been with the AARP. That's how we met Jane Barton. She is the caregiving ambassador for Colorado. She's absolutely lovely to work with. She's the author of Caregiving for the Genius, something that the library owns. But through her work as caregiving ambassador through AARP, we've been able to do a number of programs with her. She's super professional. We've also worked with Letting Go with Dignity. They'll come and do an advanced directives kind of program, and that's been happening in a couple other locations. It's not something that is super exciting to talk about, like Shelvis, doing paperwork and thinking about how you want to live the rest of your life. They do say that it's not about dying; it's how about how you want to live. And I know that some locations in Colorado have done things called like a death cafe, where they do spend more time talking about like end of life scenarios and wishes. We have done other kind of programs on that topic, and you know the numbers are there. You do feel a little bit awkward at times, but it's important. It's an important topic that we can be a safe place to have those conversations. And then like movements also important. Walk to Connect has been great to work with. They do a lot of walks throughout the community. And they talk a lot about how moving at 3 miles an hour, side by side, is a great way to talk to people, get out of the house, be social, and see different parts of your community. So it brings a lot of like community conversation, community connection. There's definitely people in their 80s that are leading walks. And so to see these different members of the community come together has been marvelous.
So just really quick, I wanted to add another good partner is the Alzheimer's Association. I recommend contacting them anytime you want to do a program that is dementia friendly or that focuses on people with memory loss. It could be a memory cafe, but they're open to doing just about anything. And they're great to brainstorm with, from music programs to cooking classes to movement to sort of brain and memory stimulation programs. So I highly recommend contacting the Alzheimer's Association also to talk about different programs.
And if anyone has any ideas, feel free to put them in the chat. Who have you liked working with?
We at Park Hill have also worked with the Alzheimer's Association for other programming, as Amy mentioned, outside of Memory Cafe. Uh, the contact that runs the Memory Cafe with Amy is doing our choir for the tone deaf. She's a wonderful musician. She's also done a program, This Is Your Brain on Dance, for us as well.
So here is a specific example about how we use data within the Park Hill Branch Library to come up with a program. Some of our data points are, gosh, cookbooks have a very high circulation rate. We have about 3 full bookcases just full of cookbooks, and they've all circulated within the last 6 to 8 months. So we definitely know that cooking is a very popular topic here at this location. We do have a floating collection here at the Denver Public Library, so they're definitely moving. We take a look at our demographics using our analytics on demand, and our population, there's a lot of people that have lived here for more than 50 years in the neighborhood. There were a lot of people that lived alone, and a lot of them were women. So that told me that there were a lot of women living alone here over 60, and then also customer requests. Now, I didn't just want to call it cooking for one. I wanted to call it cooking for number one, because if there's one thing that the Jane Barton programs have taught me, is that the self-care aspect is very important. There's something very special about caring for yourself enough to cook yourself a meal. I'm not north of 50 yet, but even I know that that's hard enough to cook for yourself. So we came up with cooking for number one, and we had a huge turnout. It was quite funny. Just that evening, the butter got a little too hot, so the fire alarm went off, and the fire department had to come, and everyone oohed and awed over the fire department and offered them cookies. So not that everything always goes well when you use data to to make your decisions. You always have the whims of the universe to deal with during any program, but definitely cooking for number one was a big hit. So whether that was freezing part of it for later, this wonderful local caterer that we work with came and did the program. There were things to sample, recipes to take home. We pulled in books from the collection to kind of like supplement what else was happening at the program. So take a look at the different data points in your library, what's circulating really well, what do people ask for, and who's living in your community, and that could give you a really good idea. I like to use customer quotes when I can. These are 2 different customer quotes that people came up, and I was really happy to hear from them. When I have a program, I do introduce the program and let them know that we are here to hear their concerns, their dreams, their wishes. I can't promise that I'll make them all come true, but I do want to hear them, and by making that like open invitation to hear from them, I feel like you do get a lot more good quotes or ideas. I'm really enjoying the chat and all the ideas that are coming in there about how to get your ideas. In addition to quotes, I like to tell stories. This is JP. JP regularly attends Baby Storytime, and this is a story that our Baby Storytime presenter, Monica, told me about JP. He liked seeing Monica use the ukulele in Storytime, and then we had ukulele programs with the Rocky Mountain Ukulele Orchestra. They are wonderful to work with. I recently did a presentation with them at Cal. And they came and they teach a class. JP got so into it, he ended up buying his own ukulele. Now he's in the orchestra, and he's coming back to help teach the classes that he got his own start in. So every time I see JP, I have to smile.
So the Community Singers is something that I started at my branch, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about it because it's been so popular. It kind of came about because of two things that happened. The first thing was someone at my memory cafe said to me that at her church they had asked her to stop attending choir. They'd asked her to quit the choir because she could no longer remember what they did from week to week. And it made her profoundly sad because singing was one of the great joys of her life. And the story made me very sad and kind of annoyed at her church. But, and the other thing that happened was I was doing research on the benefits of singing in a group. And there are a lot of them. It's correlated with lower levels of anxiety and depression and higher levels of cognitive function and joy. And so after talking to the programming librarian at my branch, we decided to not limit this just to people with memory loss, but to invite all members of the community to come. And we made it dementia friendly, so you don't really build week to week on what you learned the previous week, but we just have a great time singing together. And it has been an extremely popular program. We get 30 to 40 people every single time. People are happy, they laugh, we have spontaneous dancing. We are, of our regular participants, they range in age from 18 years old to 96 years old. And everyone talks about how much fun it is to sing. A lot of people haven't sung in a group since they were in summer camp. And it is just, we have a ball. We have a ball. So I highly, this is not something that maybe people would think about doing in a library, but it is a community-based event. And if you don't go to church, there aren't a lot of opportunities to sing in a group anymore. So we have found this to be an extraordinarily popular program. And the other thing for those of you who are trying to reach those working people and wondering how you can get them into your library, I would say the majority of people who come to our community singing program are people, even though we have an age like range from 18 to 96, the majority are working people in their 30s and 40s. It's really interesting to me. And they come right after work. So that's I highly recommend that program. And then conscious aging is something I wanted to share with you simply because it was something that kind of blew my mind. This was a series that we did. It's an 8-week series about basically how to get old. And when we posted the series, we were thinking, oh, we might get 10 or 20 people to sign up. And more than 80 people tried to sign up for this series. More than 80 people wanted to make the commitment to come for 8 weeks once a week to our library. We had to cap it at 50. But it's about the developmental stages of aging. One thing we know is that just as there are developmental stages of childhood, 0 to 3, preschool, school age, there are those same developmental stages of aging. And each has its own joys and challenges. And if you don't honor those and embrace them, that can lead to dysfunction. So this series was really about making the aging process as fun and dynamic and fulfilling a stage of life as any other stage of life. And when people called us and tried to sign up, they kept saying, no one is helping me do this. No one's telling me how to do this. I'm afraid. I'm scared of getting older. I don't know how to get older, and no one's helping me. So I think this is just an incredible insight into the needs of this population. So Lynn has a good question about cross-listing general programs as appropriate for north of 50. We don't do that right now, I don't think, because of space in our programming guide. There's a separate north of 50 section in our programming guide. Obviously, anyone is allowed to come to any adult program, but we will specifically call out the north of 50 ones. So for example, the community singers, I list under music in our programming calendar. I don't list it under north of 50. But you can do things other than labels that give people the clue that the program will be welcoming to them. For example, the photo you put on a flyer might have a picture that includes an older person in it, or the time and the day you offer the program will tell people that it's designed, excuse me, in part for them.
There's also listings such as origami for adults or coloring for adults. The no strings attached book chat is listed under book clubs, and as I mentioned previously, it's mostly older people, but not necessarily. And we do get people from outside of Denver who come to that just because they don't have to read a certain book, and it becomes a real discussion group.
And really quickly,
So we're going to give you.
I'm sorry, just to interrupt. Brian also had a question about the sources of music for the singers for your singing group. I just want to make sure we got that question answered.
So that's a great question. The musician who does our singing group, we do a lot of just singing together songs that are older songs that are in the public domain that people know. She also does something, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, where it's like a call and response singing, where she will create a tune and people will join in. We have not found a good songbook per se that works for this group. We kind of have been cobbling it together ourselves. So I wish I had a great songbook to suggest, but I don't right now.
So we've definitely talked a little bit about how important it is for these programs to be intergenerational when that's appropriate. The ukulele programs, we've had 7-year-olds to 87-year-olds. The ukuleles I've heard are good. One person came once and they had recently been diagnosed with Parkinson's and they needed something to keep their hands kind of like continuing to keep those synapses strong and do something with their hands. And a ukulele was relatively inexpensive at like $30. Didn't take up a lot of space. And you could just kind of feel good just strumming it. You don't really have to, it's not like a tuba where everyone's going to know that you're practicing. And definitely that came up with singing and the story times. So we do recommend intergenerational when you can.
We have found that people crave information. When we started north of 50 at Park Hill Branch, we were thinking that we would have a lot of fun programs. And initially, we kept getting asked for information about how do I stay financially secure? Talk to me about finding a caregiver or being a caregiver. How do I reduce pain? How do I eat healthier? People wanted information.
I definitely think thinking about your physical space is very important. I set up chairs slightly differently than I would for any other program. I give a little bit of extra space between the aisles. I give a little extra space between the chairs. In my head, I call it handbag room. Often, maybe they have mobility issues or they have a walker or a cane, and rather than feel at all, like out of place or that the setting is not right for them, I will err on the side of everyone needing that, so everyone always feels comfortable in that space.
So what we have found is it's really important if you're not doing a series, if you're doing one-offs, to still have maybe the same librarian or the same staff member as part of that, because this population really thrives on relationships. And I think this goes back to what Stephanie was saying earlier about feeling a little invisible. When people come to our programs now at my branch, I make a point of saying, I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad you came back. I'm glad you're curious about this program. How have you been? And I think for this population, especially, so many of them live alone or maybe isolated, are feeling this invisibility that Stephanie was talking about. Being seen and being known is incredible. And they will come back over and over again if they feel like this is a welcoming space for them. So I really encourage you, if you want to start offering programs for this population, to try and have some consistency in the staffing of the program so you can build those relationships.
Great ideas are everywhere. We talked a little bit about that previously. We do get an awful lot from our customers, listening to our customers, listening to the people who come to the programs, and figuring out their needs because they're very vocal about it. But we get an awful lot from newspapers and magazine articles as well as the radio as well.
Don't be afraid to experiment and sometimes even fail. You can learn a lot from every experience.
I've had several failures at Memory Cafe, and I learned a lot from them. One was meditation is supposed to be very good for people with memory loss. But as you may know, there are lots of different kinds of meditation. And for people who are living in the moment and maybe don't remember what was said 5 minutes ago, silent meditation is a very bad way to go, because in the middle of silent meditation, they have no idea what's happening. And they got very confused. So I learned from that, and I said, I still want to do meditation, but clearly silent meditation did not work. And I found someone who does chanting meditation, and that was a hit. People loved it. People really loved it. So that's an example of a failure leading to a success. This training staff in age-friendly and dementia-friendly practices is really important. I think through understanding, we achieve compassion, and compassion is really important for this population. We did a training of our staff at my branch that was offered by the Alzheimer's Association, and I saw a marked change in how they interacted with the older customers. They were more patient. They didn't get as frustrated when people asked for the same book 20 times. They got more willing to get up and walk across the library and get an item for a customer. It's just very, very important. When people walk in and they're cranky, you can react to the crankiness, or you can look at them and realize this person might be in a lot of pain. This person might have just suffered a loss in their life, given their age. This person might be living alone, and this is the first interaction they've had today. It's just incredibly important. So I highly recommend doing this before you start any programming for people who are older or for people who are suffering from memory loss.
Find partners in your community. They're probably right under your nose. They're coming to your library every day. They're your customers. We have a lot of volunteers that are also seniors. And so using them and kind of as a sounding board, having them test out your ideas, read your descriptions, look at your flyers. Yeah, using them as much as possible and thanking them. Seniors are busy. I think a lot of people think they kind of like underestimate the number of things that seniors can do. They can, have a lot of their silver sneakers at the Parks and Rec. There's just a number of things that they can be doing. So get it on their schedule, get it on their radar.
I think eating together is really important. It's an important social dynamic. So at all of our programs we have for seniors, we have snacks and tea or coffee. I try to have high-ish quality snacks, meaning I don't just go and buy a giant plastic bin of pretzels from Costco and put it out. I have like a little silver tray, and I put the cookies on the tray, and I make it feel nice and special. And it doesn't have to be incredibly expensive, but the way you present the snacks and the snacks you choose say a lot about how you feel about the people who are going to be eating those snacks.
That ties in perfectly to details are appreciated. We've mentioned the doilies, the quality of snacks, how you set up the room. We've mentioned a little bit about rejecting stereotypes with shelvis and being able to dance while also reciting some Lewis Carroll poetry. They don't all want knitting. So ask them what they want and be open to their responses. And most importantly, have fun. So we definitely want to talk about what to do now or kind of soonish. My slide's not moving forward. Oh, there we
There
go.
we go.
We want you to make a commitment to serve this population.
And that really, it doesn't even have to be a financial commitment. More, it's a intellectual and time commitment. I actually have found quite a few presenters are willing to do this kind of program for free. Also, some of the programs that we mentioned, you as librarians can just do yourselves. So if you're worried about budget, I don't think that has to get in the way of serving this population.
At Park Hill, outside of snacks, which can be a bag of cookies, we have spent, for the 2 years, we'll have spent less than $100 on programming.
Make a list of ideas of programs you can offer and services you can provide. If you have questions about any of the programs that you saw listed here today, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to share that information. Make a commitment to do 6 months of programming and then look back at your numbers and see. If you've done programming ever, you know it takes a while to pick up. We've been doing some of this programming for 2 years and people are still being like, oh, when did you start this? This is so new. And that's not always true. It just takes a while for the word to get out there. It's important to pay attention to who your customers are, what their wishes are, what their dreams are, what their pain points are. And the only way you're going to find that out is by talking to them and being authentic human beings in the same room together. And, use your librarian skills. Dig into those demographics. If you're needing to convince someone that this is worth your time, go ahead and take a look at those numbers, those graphs, and those could be real allies for you in making this, that important. I did list something from the state demographer's office there in the chat, so that might work for you. We would like to know any questions you have, any comments, and let us know as we wrap up today. What is one thing that you would like to share with your staff at your library and/or try? Did anything surprise you?
And while you guys are sharing that, I'm going to pop up a survey in the chat